Welcome to the Poker Cannonball.
All right, hey guys, Papa Poker's Poker Cannonball Run. We started on 31st Street, started the Red Ball Garage, finished at the Portofino Hotel. Each state along the way, we got to cash in a poker tournament. Once you cash, you can move on to the next state. All right, Chicago Charitable Games. Woohoo! First place. We're here in Missouri. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that notification bell. I'd really appreciate it. Now, I really hope you enjoy this video. Drove through the night, slept at multiple rest areas. Here we are at the Hampton Inn in Liberty, just outside of Kansas City. Woohoo! We brought all sorts of breakfast to our room. We got some Jif, we made a waffle. We got some bagels for later, some eggs and sausage. So we're ready to take a quick nap, wake up, grab some lunch, and then go play poker. Stayed maybe 15 minutes from Harrah's, Kansas City. This is the one tournament in Missouri until Wednesday. So lots of pressure. $250 buy-in, 20-minute levels. I think it's a Saturday tournament, so it's sort of a big tournament. We got to figure out how to double up during the rebuy period. It's like an hour 20 minutes of rebuy. And a lot of focus on today. But we've been on an incredible run, so if we don't get it done, we don't get it done. But the goal, cash, cash, cash. Let's check off Missouri. I'm tired. That's not good. I was keeping in mind, Fossil Man's advice, is sleep more important than the early period?
More practical note, do things like, if you were going to play this tournament today, it started at 10 a.m. Like, do you need to be here at 10, or do you want to, sleep in? Don't register the night before if you want to sleep in, because you'll get blinded out for a while.
These early periods have been good to me. It's good to feel out your opponents. So we're getting there on time. We're going to arrive at 10:52, run to get a rewards card, run to the tournament. So instead of going for that extra hour of sleep, we decided let's get there for the start. Net, it was 3 hours in the hotel, a couple hours on the road. So let's hope that we've got enough energy to make it through. And the pressure's on. The pressure is on. Saturday, November 2nd, 11 a.m., Harrah's, Kansas City. $250 no limit hold'em, 20,000 starting stack, 20-minute levels. I am such a very not bright person. If you're gonna plan a trip driving across the country, you might want to plan. Might not want to do it by the seat of your pants. Hopefully, anyone who tries to do this trip after me learns, right? This is the first person to do this trip. You want the bad news or you want the good news? You want the bad news or the good news? Okay, the bad news, I drove 8 hours to Kansas City for a poker tournament. That's not happening. I show up, print out my Caesars card. Lady's super nice at the rewards desk. Harrah's, Kansas City. I'm like, I'll film my walk to the poker room. No need to get out my phone. I'll do this later. I'm in such a rush to make it for 11. Get there right at the start. There's one huge plus in the good news of getting there for the start. Lady shows up and she's like, we don't do tournaments. I don't know who Poker Atlas is. Don't know who Poker Atlas is. But we don't do tournaments. I was like, Poker Atlas? She's like, I know who Poker Atlas is. Go tell Poker Atlas we don't do tournaments. Hey, Poker Atlas, there's no tournaments in Harrah's, Kansas City on Saturday, November 2nd. We booked a beautiful hotel in Kansas City. Get to check out on Sunday. But, oh man, so like, I had checked the website and they'd said check the tournament calendar and there was no tournaments. I didn't think call the poker room. All right, so if you do this in the future, always call the poker room. Always check how to get across state borders. There's no tournaments. You want to play cash? There's 2 cash games going. I don't play cash, guys. Maybe in a meetup game I'll play cash. Otherwise, I don't play cash. So pissed I'm stuck here till Wednesday. I could taste getting to New Mexico in time. Maybe we should call those New Mexico casinos. But you know what I did? Sitting there in the tournament room with some waitress. How you doing? You having a great day? No, I'm not having a great day, Miss Waitress. I wish I'd filmed that conversation. There was no way the waitress could have let me film it. But this lady, I don't think she's originally from the US, but she was so sweet. Like, I was like, I'm not doing that well. Not doing that well, server. She kept talking to me. I like your jersey. What jersey is that? It's Brett Hull. We got a Brett Hull jersey all decked out. Captain. What team is Brett Hull? She didn't know. St. Louis Blues. The poker room's upstairs at Harrah's, Kansas City. I hop on the escalator. She's like, oh, you almost fell. I was fine. I mean, do we want to count that as a near death that I, got on the escalator a little stumbly as I'm just trying to get away from her. I got to focus. So we go back to Hollywood Casino, St. Louis, and we hop on the website. When is their next tournament? Before I call them, let's check out the tournaments. You know what that website says? This is the good news. They have 2 tournaments a day, every day, all the time. There's 2 tournaments today. It's 11:30. There's a tournament at 1 o'clock in St. Louis. We are out west. We're in the Midwest. Cities are not nearby. It is a hell of a long drive. If you start in Chicago, you should not go to Kansas City on your way to St. Louis. But that's what we did because we didn't call the poker room. Call the poker room. Just called the poker room. I called them. Yeah, we got a 1 o'clock. Deep stack, $350. That sounds great. How long's the rebuy period? 3 hours, 6 levels. Because it's 11. I don't get there till like 3 o'clock. The tournament starts at 1. Comment below, what's the worst detour you've ever made? What's the worst time you've ever gotten lost? I can get back to my hotel, throw all the stuff in the car, left everything in the hotel. I had done all this stuff. I had called around at several different hotels where I could check in at 6 in the morning and keep it for an extra night. All that's moot. Hilton in Hampton was super nice. We called for a home 2 suites, 9.0 rated. No rooms. The first hotel had a wedding. That was a Holiday Inn. No rooms. But Hilton said, oh, we got a Hampton down the road. Hampton's beautiful. Great breakfast. I threw my leftover eggs that I could be eating on this drive away because I was going to play an 11 o'clock tournament. They must have food at Harrah's, Kansas City. All right, so we're gonna throw the stuff in the car. Turns out there's a tournament today and a tournament tonight in St. Louis. We're not gonna miss them. Third floor, they were super nice. Put me right by the elevator. Time to sleep. We gotta run. So my mom went to flight reservation school in Kansas City. So it's sort of fun to be in Kansas City. My mom was in flight reservation school. The CIA showed up. She applied 40-some pages to work at the CIA. And she got a job in Washington, D.C. at the CIA. Go Mom. Saturday, November 2nd, 1 p.m., Hollywood Casino, St. Louis. $350 mega stack, 30,000 in starting chips, 30-minute levels through level 6, and then 40-minute levels. Obligatory 400, 800, 800. I've driven a crazy amount of time to get here. Chicago, Kansas City, St. Louis. But we're here. We are sitting down at the table with still 1.5 levels remaining before the end of the re-entry period. My whole philosophy early on in these tournaments, during re-entry, let's build a stack, right? We look at under the gun, pocket twos. Pocket twos looks pretty good. They'd be a small pair up against a couple overs. Let's see what happens here. All in, pocket twos, 30,000 in chips. This causes a lot of folds. Fold, fold, fold. Low jack pauses. Thinks for like 30 seconds. Low jack folds. Over to the button. The button, a big stack, 80,000 in chips. The button, all in for 80,000. Button looking to isolate against me. That does the trick. He gets both blinds to fold, and the two of us, each with 30,000 on the line in this pot. All right, flip him over. We're all in. He shows ace 10 suited. And he sort of gets testy with me. He's like, what are you doing? What are you doing with pocket twos? Hey, I've got a pair. This is working. He's like asking, how could you go all in with pocket twos? Well, we did. Flippity floppity. Ace, 9, 10. That is not good. He hit his ace. Not good at all. The turn, a deuce. That has worked out very well. A set of twos. We just got to dodge an ace. The river. 8 of hearts, and we are good. We get the double up right away, and the button is not happy. We've definitely put him on a little bit of tilt here. Button not happy with the turn. Oh, the low jack chimes in that he had pocket jacks and folded them. I guess my under the gun raise looks strong. Pocket jacks, how could he not be in it? We could have had a triple up. All right, we can't be greedy. We got the double up. And this is a great start. Obligatory 400, 800, 800. This is my third hand sitting at the table. So right after that pocket twos double up, one of the largest stacks of the table, over 80,000 in chips. The hijack raises to 2,200. Small blind calls the 2,200. I'm in the big blind. Pocket jacks. All right, this is better than pocket twos. I know I should be raising these jacks, but after just winning a large pot, I don't know, I wasn't feeling it. So I just checked. And I know I'm not supposed to, but that's what I did. Flippity floppity. 4, king of hearts, queen of hearts. Small blind checks. All right, now there's 2 overs out there. I'm just gonna check. The hijack bets 3,000. Small blind check raises all in for 18,000. Yikes. All right, at this point, there's 2 overs. Somebody's all in. I'm out. I fold. Hijack calls the 18,000. They flip their cards over. Hijack, ace-5 suited with a flush draw. And the small blind really nailed the flop. 2 pair, kings and queens. The turn, king of spades, and that'll do it. Full house. The river, a deuce. The small blind doubles up, and we folded our jacks and got out clean. Obligatory 500, 1,000, 1,000. Under the gun +1, I look down at ace, king, suited. That's totally good. Raise it up, raise to 3,500. Over to the cutoff. The cutoff goes all in for 17,800. And my eyes, a little bit concerned. We have ace, king, so we should probably be okay. But what is the cutoff going all in with? Small blind folds, it's over to me. Really weird. Both the small blind and the cutoff start saying, come on, it's only 17,800. It's not that much more. Now, granted, I do have some chips already in, but so weird. So weird that they're saying it's not that much more, especially the cutoff. This feels a little dangerous. It feels like he's got something good. We do have the cutoff well covered. We've got a lot of chips. It isn't that much more. All right. We make the call, and let's see what's up. Maybe I shouldn't have made this call. We flip them over, and my ace-king is up against pocket kings for the cutoff. Yikes, I should have been more suspicious. It's only blah, blah, blah more. Give me a break. All right, we got to start rooting for an ace. Flippity floppity. 10 of clubs, 4 of hearts, queen of diamonds. And that is not looking good. We are about to take a hit. The turn, ace of hearts. And the table starts muttering, what is up with this guy? I have been on a run here early on. We will take it. The river, adding insult to injury, ace of spades. Whew, the table is super mad that I got it in as an underdog and won yet again. We hit our ace. We take the 17,800 chips back to our stack. And this is a great early going. Obligatory 600, 1,200, 1,200. We are under the gun. Pocket kings. Woo, we like these cards. Raise it up. 3,000. Low jack calls. Big blind also calls. Flippity floppity. 8 of clubs, 9 of hearts, 8 of spades. All right, 8, 9, 8, rainbow. Hopefully nobody's got an 8. Big blind checks. I bet 7,000. Fold, fold. We take it down. Obligatory 800, 1,600, 1,600. We're playing 8-handed. Folds around to me. I am on the button. Queen of hearts, 9 of hearts. I like it. Raise it up, 4,000. Small blind folds. Big blind. Very tight player. He's got 120,000 in chips. He raises it up, 11,000. I think he's been playing so tight. I do not like it. I decide I'm going to fold. Fold. 55 people left. Hollywood Casino in St. Louis. We got Brett Hull. Everyone's saying I got the old school St. Louis Blues jersey on. They asked if I was going to the game tonight. No, I'm not going to the game. I'm at the poker tournament. All right, $350 entry. We doubled up early. All sorts of good run during the rebuy period. Now just holding on, chipping up a little. 88,000 in chips. Blinds are going to 1,500, 3,000, 3,000. 14 people left. Don't know the cash number yet. It's got to be 7 or 8. We're already nervous. Gonna try to hold on, but play right too. It's that mix of you need to get a hand each orbit or two, but then also play right. As a dinner break, so we're looking at the menu. I think chicken strips are just a little too fried. We had a hot dog yesterday in Chicago. Might go with a slice of pizza. Obligatory 1,500, 3,000, 3,000. We are playing 6-handed. Action folds in front of me. I'm the small blind. Ace of clubs, 4 of hearts. We've got an ace. Raise it up, 9,000. Big blind, doesn't take that long. Big blind calls. Flippity floppity. Jack, 10, 5, rainbow. All right, we have nothing. Maybe the big blind has nothing too. I'm the small blind, bet 15,000. Big blind thinks and thinks and thinks and folds. That's a nice little pickup. Obligatory 1,500, 3,000, 3,000, playing 6-handed. I am on the button, King 10 off, and I call the 3,000. I know I'm not supposed to limp, either raise or fold, especially as the button. I know. I do limp. I am a limper. I'm a small stakes player. Limp. Small blind calls the 3,000. Big blind, very strong player, raises it up to 11,000. Ugh. I do not want to play this pot for 11,000, especially with these cards. I fold. Small blind folds. Big blind, as we all fold, says, I can't let you see that hand for free. And that's why we don't just limp. Obligatory 2,000, 4,000, 4,000. We're playing 6-handed, very close to the final table. 12 of us left. 10 people make the final table. Fold, fold, fold. I'm in the small blind. Ace of diamonds, 10 of diamonds. Raise it up, 12,000. Now the big blind, never happy when I was going after his big blind. Always taking exception with that move. The big blind makes the call for 12,000. Flippity floppity. Queen of hearts, 9 of hearts, 5 of clubs. I continue. Obviously, we don't really have anything, but I continue. 15,000. Big blind thinks for a few seconds, and then he makes the call for 15,000 as well. The turn, Jack of spades. Now I take a little time to think. The way he called, I don't know, I just didn't feel like he had something strong. It was just the way he called that hand. I am all in for 100,000. Let's go. Let's put the pressure on. Of course, we really don't have anything. This move is not solver approved. Many more checks here, maybe a bet, but no all in this circumstance. We have ace high. However, we're open-ended for the straight. I really felt like I had to make a move in this hand. I cover the big blind, so the big blind's tournament life is on the line. And I've got several outs here. So as Doyle Brunson says in Super System, be aggressive, put the pressure on. That's what we're doing. Over to the big blind. And the big blind is thinking. And he's thinking some more. What's he got? He just keeps thinking and thinking. And the more he thought, he's thinking so much, I am convinced he does not have a queen. With a top pair queen, he is definitely making the call. And he keeps thinking. And one really great thing about this spot is I'm in seat 9, the big blind's in seat 1. And this seating arrangement is very helpful. In big hands like this, and obviously I don't feel as strong as I should, I feel like I do give away some tells. Like I've got this pale complexion. I feel like my face turns red. I feel like all my skin is turning red. Now I try to just look down at the table. Don't make a move. I am like using my eye to sort of side eye and see what he's doing. But here I've got the dealer as a shield. Like if I'm giving away these tells, I'm trying to hide my body, position my body where the dealer is hiding me away. and the big blind can't see me. Well, he's still thinking. No matter what I'm doing, he's thinking about what he should do. He can't have a queen. What's he thinking so long about? Finally, I see him try and touch his cards in a way where he may fold. Oh, that's good. We want to fold here. Still thinking. And he makes the fold. And almost right away, he starts to regret it. He starts talking on the table. I mean, this guy, if he took so long there, he shouldn't have called my raise pre-flop, right? But he really hated it every time I went after his blind, so it wasn't a surprise. He then told the table, I should have called. This whole thing took him down to like 55,000 chips after the hand. He said he had a flush draw with a king and a rag. All right, so he had hearts. After the flop, his percentages are pretty high. But after the turn, I don't know, his percentages weren't that great. We put him in the tank. We got him to fold. A huge pot for us. Obligatory 3,000, 6,000, 6,000. We started 10-handed at the final table. We are now 8-handed. 6 get paid. All right, we're playing 8-handed. Giant stack directly to my right is raising me all the time. He is normally a cash player, and he keeps raising to 13,000 because his baseball number was 13. Kept saying this was his favorite round because he could raise to 13,000. And the button to my right raises to 13,000. I'm in the small blind, king of spades, jack of spades. I debate, according to the charts, I clearly need to go all in with this. I'm out of position. I just don't like it. The button's got me covered. I decide to fold, all right? We really need a cash. We are really close to the top 6. Top 6 get paid. Big blind calls the 13,000. Flippity floppity, queen of spades, 10 of diamonds, 5 of spades. Hey, we would have been open-ended with a flush draw? What? Oh, now I'm regretting that fold. Yikes. Big blind bets 10,000, and the button calls. The turn, ace of clubs. Now I am so mad. Big blind checks. The button bets 20,000, and the big blind calls. The river, 2 of spades. Oh, now I'm even more mad. There's a flush. The big blind checks. The button bets 25,000. The big blind calls. Flip them over. The button, ace of diamonds, 3 of diamonds. The big blind, king of clubs, queen of diamonds. We would have tripled up there for sure. Woulda, coulda. We're still alive. We're at the next break. It turns out it only pays 6. Yikes, pays 6. We're down to 8 left, and I am bleeding chips like crazy. But the top 6 make at least $1,000 each, so everyone wants to finish top 6, not just me. There's a couple other short stacks. We're gonna have to make a play at some point. We gotta do it when we're in position. There was one time I folded, I'm an idiot. I folded king, jack suited, ended up flopping open-ended straight and a flush draw with hit the straight and the flush. That was the one we needed to play, but we didn't. We've been a folding machine. We got like 107,000 chips left. The levels are now 4,000, 8,000, 8,000. But the blind pressure is going to affect other people too. And we just need the cash. We just need to finish top 6. That's the goal. We don't care about the money. Just top 6. One small stack just doubled up. So that's bad. Ace king to ace jack. But there are 2 other small stacks. Let's see if we can navigate it. We've gotten like no for sure raises, which sucks. But we're gonna push. Break's almost up, I gotta run back in there. That's our update. 2 to go to the money. Why does this pay 8? Why does this pay 6 and not 7? I don't know, but whatever. We're right on the border. Obligatory 4,000, 8,000, 8,000. We are still playing 8-handed, top 6 cash. We are so close. I'm the button, queen of hearts, 9 of diamonds. I really should have thought longer about this. I don't really think that long. I see a queen. We've got a couple of high cards. All in 85,000. Now this is against the standard play. Standard play is much more fold than all in. Queen 9 off is just not good enough here. Guy to my left, the small blind, announces all in. Oh, what does he have? The big blind folds, flip him over. I'm sort of embarrassed. I show Queen 9 off. The small blind shows pocket kings. That is very bad. I was so close to cashing, so close. Just 2 people away. What was I thinking? I made the wrong play, and now I am going to pay the price. Flippity floppity. 4 of diamonds, 5 of clubs, 10 of spades. We are still totally dead. The turn. Jack of spades. Wait. We've got a new lease on life. We still have a chance. His pocket kings do block the top end of the straight. We really need an 8 on the river. One of those 2 remaining kings. Let's go. The river. Ace of clubs. Oh, that's it. So mad. Super pissed. I grab my bag. I get out of my chair. I shove the chair back into the table. The small blind looks over and says, "Hey man, I don't have you covered. I barely had any chips." The small blind only had 40,000 in chips. We're still alive. We're on fumes, but we've still got 45,000 in chips left. We're still in this. Obligatory 4,000, 8,000, 8,000. Still 8-handed. Pays 6. We are so close. I just won an all-in with ace queen off, getting me back up to a decent chip stack. Under the gun folds, under the gun +1 folds, low jack folds. And I look down at king of clubs, queen of diamonds, all in 85,000. The cutoff folds, the button folds. I'm watching. Come on, more folds. Let's take this down now. The small blind folds. And then the big blind looks over and he's like, "Can I get a count?" And then the dealer looks at me. And while the cutoff and button were folding, the dealer had taken my cards and mucked them. My cards were mucked when I was all in. Now, they don't have an all-in button here. The dealer's saying my cards were over the line. Now, when this hand came out, I was collecting my chips from the prior all-in victory, and I wanted to keep the action going. So I did sort of look at my hand while I was dealing with my chips, and then I was very focused on whether other people would fold. And somehow the dealer looked tired, had mucked my hand. Literally everyone else at the table knew I was all in. And now they're asking for a count. We have to call the floor over. Big blind wants to know what the ruling is. They say I owe 8,000 in chips. Fortunately, I'm not all in. And that's a rough one. 8 of us left. It pays 6. And we end up with king, queen off, middle position. I raise all in. I say all in. The guy to my left here is all in. The people down the table here are all in. I just won the previous hand from an all in. So I have a bunch of chips, so I'm moving around the chips. The dealer, this is so insane, took my cards and mucked them. Like everyone was folding to my all in. The dealer mucked my cards. Dealer said they were over the line. They were not over the line. I do not push my cards over the line. This was craziness. I was moving the chips all in. I said all in. They had to call the floor over. The big blind had not folded yet. So the big blind, who's a short stack, is like, "What's the ruling?" The weirdest ruling ever. They came over and said, I still owed 8,000, even though I had no cards. 8,000 was the big blind. But that I could keep playing and that I wasn't forced to go all in with no cards. So that was nice. I later talked to the big blind who got knocked out soon after and made it 7 to go. He said he had nothing. He just wanted to know what the ruling was. It was super weird ruling that I should either pay 0 or pay everything. Like if she took my cards and assumed it was a fold, then she's got to say fold. But then, like, the small blind had folded because he heard my all in and it wasn't a fold. So there was action that already happened. So that's why they said that I had bet 8,000. Everyone at the table thought that was really weird. The dealer apologized. Comment below, what's the worst problem you've ever had at the table? Dara O'Kearney, you would be so proud of me. I know you barely know me, but I got your audiobook. I listened to it. I focused on it. I'm in the big blind. And I got a raise practically all in from one of the giant chip stacks. I look down. There are 7 people left and 6 of them cash. We need to cash. And we've got ace king and the button is raising us. This guy is super tight. He hasn't been playing even that many hands here on the final table. And he raised me. I know I'm supposed to play ace king and I know I'm right on the bubble. I was tormented. Everyone's like, what the hell did you have? I said, I'll tell you later. But I made the fold. I took like 3 minutes. So mad. I've got ace king. Ace king. Afterwards, this guy said, pick one. So I pick one and it's an ace. And I say, do you have aces? He's like, no. I was like, all right. Then I guess I messed up. After I got knocked out, what did he have? He had aces. Obligatory 4,000, 8,000, 8,000. We are now playing 7-handed, 1 away from the money. Also paying the bubble $50 a person. Cutoff raises to 20,000. Button folds. I am in the small blind. 6 of spades, 2 of clubs. No, I'm not playing this hand. I fold. Big blind goes all in. 88,000. Cutoff really doesn't think. Cutoff, larger stack, calls. Flip them over. The cutoff, ace king off. The big blind, pocket tens. Quite a race. Flippity floppity. King of clubs, queen of hearts, queen of diamonds. Yes! What a flop! We are going to cash. The turn. Jack of spades. Ooh, there's some outs. The river. 9 of hearts. Oh my. The big blind picks up the miracle straight. We do not cash. Ugh, that was it. I keep folding. Blind pressure on everybody. 2 players get it all in. The smaller stack knocked out. And we cash. All right, check off Missouri. Obligatory 6,000, 12,000, 12,000. We are still on cloud 9. The button, very strong player, very large stack, goes all in. I am in the big blind with 6 of clubs, 6 of spades. Clearly with my stack, this is an all in. I go all in, 67,000. Turn him over. The button's got ace of clubs, king of clubs. All right, technically we're ahead. Flippity floppity. 7 of diamonds, 10 of diamonds, 4 of hearts. Let's go. Come on, double up. The turn. 5 of spades. That works. The river. Ace of spades. And that's it. We're knocked out 6th. We do cash for $1,078. We did have to pay the bubble $50, but we'll take it. Very quick. We finished 6th. We cashed. We're on to Oklahoma. Achievement unlocked. We made the right fold. We folded ace king to aces and we cashed. Min cash again, but we just need to cash. So I think that's my biggest fold on the bubble ever that I know, where I folded ace king and would have lost to aces. So Dara, somewhere out there, be proud of me. check out his book or his audiobook. We'll put a link in the comments or in the description if you need to make the bubble or flag hunt like we're doing on this journey. All right, we're back on the road. Goodbye from Hollywood Casino. There's the Hollywood sign over there. It's a little smaller than the normal Hollywood sign. You want in the vlog, man?
Sure, man. What's
Take
going
it
on,
easy.
man?
Hello
What's up,
from
vlog?
St. Louis.
St. Louis.
Take it easy, man.
All right, you too.
All right, we're back on the road. We'll see you all on the highway, everybody. The Toyota Camry wanted in the photo. After all these victories, here's Hollywood, here's the Camry, there's Hollywood Casino right there. But what a picturesque spot we could get with the Hollywood sign, with the Camry. So there's our vehicle. There's where we just cashed, min cash, 6th place, but it got the job done. Checking the box. And now we are back on the open road. Okay, one other factoid before we drive out of town. Hollywood Casino in St. Louis is right next to all sorts of St. Louis Blues stuff. I don't know if you can see through there. This is like the St. Louis Blues ice facility. There's a little Blues logo over there. We're at Centene Community Ice Center. This is all on that same road to go to Hollywood Casino. So we had to at least take a peek. With the light, it's not really coming out. Let's see if we can run over. We'll run really fast. If we get past this light, then you can see the sign. All right. There's the sign, Centene Community Ice Center over here by Hollywood Casino. We would have gone ice skating. They had a whole nice open air rink over there, but we were playing poker. The Blues were playing tonight too. Didn't go to the game, because again, we were playing poker, but we cashed. 8 hours to Choctaw. Let's see how far we can drive before we gotta stop. All right, we'll see you. At the end of each video, I include a P&L tracker of how I'm doing on the trip. Check that out. In the meantime, let's talk to Tournament Director Matt Savage. Matt, thank you so much for joining us. Could you, nominated for the Poker Hall of Fame for the 9th time this summer. Congratulations. Can you talk about your life in poker and what poker means to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a pretty crazy run. I started working in this industry about 30 years ago as a chip runner, and have basically worked all the way through all the jobs up and down between from floor to dealing to, like I said, running chips to assistant tournament director to shift manager to all different kinds of jobs. And, I kind of really found my spot in tournaments, and that's something that I really love and have loved to meet new people and be a part of this kind of exciting part of the industry that, is a little different than cash games, but at the same time keeps me very, very occupied.
Well, I only play tournaments. I mean, the occasional meetup game, I might do cash or something like that. But I love tournaments. It's sort of, I think there's a couple different ways to go. You have your tournament players, you have your cash players, and you have those that play both. I guess it's playing for the prize, playing for the win, and sort of followed everything that you've done. One thing when we talk about tournaments coming up is what the WPT is doing at the Win in December. December 2023, incredibly impressive. What do you think about last year's WPT? What do you think is in store for us this year?
Well, it's been an incredible journey through the Win. We didn't know what to expect when we partnered with Win. We knew that they were a great, beautiful location here in Vegas, one of the biggest poker rooms in the world, one of the best run operations I've ever seen. And one of the things that we started with was that 15 million guarantee. We jumped it to 40 million last year. It took a lot of guts. We did miss it by a little bit, but the fact that it was good for the tournament players, good for people in poker, I think that it really set itself apart as one of the biggest championships in the game. And for us, it culminates our season-ending series for the World Poker Tour. So I think we've done a lot of great things, and I'm really impressed with the partnership that we created with the Wind, and Ryan Beauregard and Ray Pulford and their team do such a fantastic job.
And when I think about you and your role in tournament director, what role do you play in setting up something like that at the Win?
Well, I'm involved with the schedule. I'm involved with the structures. I'm involved with working with Ryan and making sure that they're following the same procedures and rules that we do on the World Poker Tour throughout the season, so that people, when they go from like a WPT Prime into the Prime Championship, or from a main tour championship into the World Championship. Everything is pretty much the same. And, like I said, they do such a fantastic job. Not much is needed on our end on pushing those things through, because they create such a fantastic schedule and have great structures as well. But we just make sure that everything is in line with what we're doing throughout the season.
And now you're an ambassador for Club WPT Gold. There's this $5 million free roll that we're all chasing. It's really taken over the internet, I feel like. What are your expectations for this free roll coming up?
I think it's going to be the softest tournament in the history of poker. There are so many people that I've seen that have already won seats that I've never heard of before. And what we're getting from what I'm hearing from Jamie and others that are Jamie Kerstetter and others that are part of that is that many, many, many of these players have never recorded a Hendon Mob cash. So if you get in this tournament, not only is it going to be the best field ever, I think that we're giving away 2,000 seats. There's a lot of people that probably won't even show up because have never played poker before. So it's going to be just a massive overlay. Not only is there $5 million in prize money where somebody could win $1 million or more if they win one of the mystery bounties, but there's also a drawing for a McLaren and other huge prizes that we're going to be giving away at that final table. So it's going to be a massive undertaking, but at the same time, really, really good for the industry. And that's what I'm most excited about.
The McLaren, like it just jumps out, that sexy car. I mean, the prizes, everything is just so phenomenal.
Absolutely.
And then this all sets up for Club WPT Gold. What can you tell us about that?
I'm super excited about it. The sweepstakes model has been proven that it will work in the industry. And I think that we're really onto something here. It's something that we can bring to the American players, which they haven't seen in some time. So that's my biggest excitement about it, is that people will be able to go on there, and if all things work out correctly, it's going to be an industry changer for us and for the game. I mean, I really think that people are going to enjoy the sweepstakes model and be happy to be a part of that.
I was trying to win my way into China poker games this summer and sort of encountered it for the first time, where I was playing CPG online. And there were so many interesting things about entering that world. But then, again, the prizes that you're competing for, everyone is bringing their A game. It feels different than, sort of this Zynga world from years gone by. But it's exciting to see it come here to the American players.
I'm really excited that I think that we can have a lot of people qualify for WPT events across the country and around the world through Gold. And I think it's going to be a major feeder for those events. And in the end, everybody loves playing live poker, as I do. And so being able to win your way into those events is going to be great for us.
Very cool. So I have been traveling the United States playing poker rooms, small and large. Again, I sort of have followed this tournament world, and I think you play sort of a big part in this world where all these different tournament events go by standardized rules. Can you talk about the TDA, your role with the organization, and how this all interrelates with tournament poker?
Yeah, basically it started in 2001. I had never even stepped foot in the World Series of Poker and in Las Vegas, and walked in that room and said to the tournament director, "Hey, look, there's rules that are different from card room to card room and casino to casino all around the world. I would love to be able to put together something together like just to standardize the rules." And kind of got looked at it, negatively, like it'd been tried before, never was going to work. And luckily I was friends with Linda Johnson, and she had the World Poker Industry Conference. So she invited us to tag that on to the tail end of that. We had 25 tournament directors and card room managers from around the country that first year. And now the organization is basically used in every major tournament and in every, real tournament around the world. So I'm excited to say that, we were the founding members of that, me, Linda Johnson, Jan Fisher, and Dave Lamb. And it's grown to be something huge. So to put that in to perspective, I really think that, that's how my career really began in the major way. And I'm very proud of what we've become in the TDA.
What do you think are, as someone who joined tournament poker, right around 2007, 2008, the rules have just always been the same. Maybe there's a small adjustment here or there. In standardizing the rules, Is there a biggest success story that you have, or something that you brought to tournament poker that, really changed the game that you're proud of?
Yeah, I'm most proud of being the person that says that they would rather something be standard for all and for the players than my own opinion, right? Just go back to this year for a basic example. Having when you're short stacked with less than a big blind, I'm completely in favor of it being ante first because I believe it is technically the correct way. You have ante for the rest of the table, but yet when you are in that one position, you can collect it both ways. And I changed the rule this year to go to big blind first because others were doing it that way. And to me, it's more important to have something standard for the players so that they know when they go from room to room and card room and casino to casino that it's the same way. So for me, doing something that goes against my best feeling for the interest of the game is something that I'm most proud of. And I think that is why the TDA has been as successful as it's been, because not only is it just for the benefit of the players, there's no financial interest in doing that. It's just a lot of hard work.
It's interesting you bring up big blind ante, and it's something that, we've just been going through as an industry over the past few years. I was just playing in Chicago and entered a tournament with no big blind ante. There, sort of the community had been, and they have some tournaments with big blind ante and some with not. But the community had sort of been upset about it being, added to so many tournaments. So they have this tournament with no big blind ante to sort of shout out those people who remember, days go by. No, they don't actually have antes either. It's just no ante at all.
Wow.
But can you talk to us about um, the world of big blind ante? Where did that first come from? How did you first
Yeah.
hear about it? How did it become standardized?
It was basically started at the Aria in their Poker Go studio with the high rollers that thought that it was a better way to do it because I think a lot of people get distracted when they're playing poker. So it's always a problem for the dealer to say, "Hey, you got to put in your big blind ante," or you got to put in your ante when everybody was doing it individually. And it's just a time saver. It really is. It's a time saver. It makes it a lot easier. You'll never have to go to the camera and say who didn't put in their ante because that was happening as well. So it basically started there, but I like to think that I helped popularize it. So I brought it to the Commerce Casino, the world's largest poker casino, and we had a lot of negative feedback at the beginning, and I pushed through. And then I had a lot of people from around the country and around the world contact me and say, "How did it work? How do you like it?" I said, "I think this is going to be something that's going to stay." So I showed them how we did it, and basically it kind of, grew and grew and grew. And next thing I know, I was kind of like the leading expert on big blind ante, even though I didn't even start it.
Now, speaking of, tournament rules, and I love following the rules and sort of understanding it, although I have not read the rule book, to be very honest. Another thing on the landscape that I hear about, and maybe you can educate me, savage average. What is that? Can you explain?
So many tournaments that you play around the world, and you've played them yourself, that when you play a tournament, you start with a lot of big blinds, and then by the end of the tournament, you're playing kind of like a shove fest, or it's a crapshoot, as people will say, where you're sometimes at 10 big blinds or less at the final table when you're playing for all the money. And so the savage average is a way to do a tournament there where you start a lot more shallow, but the blinds never go below a certain threshold. So we've done it at 30 big blinds, 40 big blinds, 50 big blinds, and it works. It makes it so that when you're playing for all the money at the end of the tournament, you have a higher big blind average than you usually do in your daily tournament or even in the major tournaments in the world. We've seen them get down to as low as 20 big blinds at the final table. And I just don't think that's right. I think that when you're playing for all that money, I think you should have a higher big blind average so that you have some skill in it. It's not just a complete shove fest. And that's why I started the Savage Average. It's worked in a lot of different venues around the world. And I'm happy to share that with anybody that wants to use it.
And you've played in this tournament, right? Not only have you helped popularize it, but you've played in it. How has your experience been, recently sort of playing in these tournaments?
Oh, I love it because, I am a guy that's not a professional. So I would love to, play a little faster at the beginning and then give myself some time later on in the tournament when you don't have it. But, to be honest, it's not actually the best tournament for me because when you're playing deep stack later in the final tables, I am a guy that needs to get lucky in those spots. And so it gives you a little more skill at that level of the tournament. And so it may not be the best for me, but I still think it's best for the industry.
Well, one reason I rang you up, and thank you so much for joining, is that in my travels, as I sort of make my way across the country, played at a casino in St. Louis and ran into a weird hand. Maybe a couple folds in front of me, and I look down at King Queen. I'm very short stacked. It pays six, and we're eight-handed. So I go all in with my King Queen, and I had just won another all in, so there's a bunch of chips in front of me, and I'm trying to keep the action moving. So I go and I look at my cards, I say all in, and I thought I said it loud. They didn't have an all in button there. And I just start looking to my left to sort of nervously see what's going to happen. King, Queen, it's still risky, or quite risky with King, Queen in that scenario. So the guy to my left folds, the guy to my left folds, another to the left. And now we get over to the small blind, and I'm just focused on the players to my left. And the small blind, he folds. It goes over to the big blind. The big blind asks for a count. And then the dealer wants to know why, because they've already mucked my cards. So at some point, and I never saw my cards get mucked when I went all in. Maybe as I was looking left, a hand or two, the dealer sort of spotted these cards out there. And I think because my chips were still being collected from the previous hand, the cards didn't get dealt all the way to me. So they were maybe a little bit more forward than they should have been. Somehow the cards got mucked. The big blind asked for a count. And so now it's the big blind and theoretically me, eight-handed, six get paid. I have this pressure to cash. And I was just scared to death at this point about what is going to happen when I am now all in, and the big blind has been covered and I have no cards. So I can tell you what the floor ruled if you want first.
No, let me answer it
Yeah,
first.
I'll let you chime in first.
See if they answered it correctly. It is not, it is, first of all, your responsibility to protect your own hand, as you know. But this is a situation that happened at the World Series with Daniel Negreanu this year. He vehemently disagrees with my ruling. But what I'm going to do in this situation is know that it is a dealer error. If you did say all in, I wish they would have all in buttons there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to return the amount of your raise and charge you the amount of the big blind. So you'll lose that part of the pot. And then the person in the big blind will then win that and whatever ante is in the pot. So I'm not going to charge you for the raise amount because it was not an error in it makes no sense why you would muck your hand after moving all in. So to protect you and to protect the game, I'm going to charge you just the big blind amount and give that to the big blind player who still has an active hand, and then move on to the next hand.
So it sounds like they knew what they were doing and they matched exactly
nice.
what you said. And,
Perfect.
part of this that they weighed in on was that the small blind had acted sort of based on some sort of bet, so to speak. So yeah, I was returned everything except for essentially, the call of the big blind, and the rest of my chips went back to me since I had no cards. And then the theory was that, yeah, the small blind had acted because of I'd done something theoretically and folded their hand. We would later go investigate and find out, and so then the guy to my right, who's a big cash game player, he said, in cash, if the big blind had no cards, the right thing is to just sort of fold them anyways. But this was sort of the tournament ruling. We're all playing for our tournament life, to your point about savage average, everybody's short stacked, and so everyone, certainly needs to be very focused. So that is what happened. They returned me.
They did it the right way, and I still disagree with you, Daniel Negreanu. You were wrong. This is the correct ruling.
So what happened with Daniel's situation? What did Daniel think should
Basically,
have
it was
happened?
like 1 and 2, and he raised to 5, and somebody behind him raised to 13,000, so 8,000 more. And then the big blind, or the small blind and the big blind, both folded. So he mucked his cards, not knowing that Daniel was still in the hand. And so because of that, he was given back the 8,000, and the antes, or the blinds, and 5,000 from that player went to Daniel Negreanu. He thinks he should have been able to call the 13 and get all of it. And I disagree with that. That's not the right way to do it. It's actually written in the rules that the correct way. We discussed it at the TDA again this year after Negreanu, did that, and everybody agrees, no, that was the correct ruling. So we're not changing it.
Well, I really appreciate you weighing in on that hand. Certainly this is the most poker that I'd ever played in a stretch. And obviously, the more poker you play, the more weird things you run into. One other hand I wanted to run by you. I was the big blind with 3-7 off, I think, or something like that. And so, call it the button called, the small blind completed, and then I just checked with 3-7 off. And then as the flop came out, everybody checked. The turn came out, everybody checked. And then the river came, and the small blind checked to me. I had 3-7 off, and I folded.
Okay.
And then I was sort of told by the dealer, hey, you can't fold. And then it went to the next player, and they checked and all that. So I guess is the ruling that I could not fold that hand at that point?
Yeah, you're not supposed to. It's basically an etiquette violation, right?
Okay.
You can do anything that's totally egregious. What you did was you made it so that the player behind you had a lot more power in the hand, knowing that if that player bet, obviously you're not calling, and that he only has one player to face. So the fact that that player could have two people behind him that could potentially call is what we'd call an etiquette violation. So what you basically did affected the person that checked under the gun to, weaken their position by a lot by doing that. So the person could try and bluff at the pot and try to win what's out there with a much less, of a hand, a way more marginal hand. And so it's an etiquette violation. We'd ask you not do that. If you were to do it again, then you could possibly face a penalty. And that's about it. It's not really like you were doing something that was completely against the rules or that bad. And in this situation where it was going check, 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 it's even less of an infraction.
Fair enough. I just know sometimes with 3-7 off, I'll get in trouble and start re-raising and things. I was trying to prevent myself. But good to know about this etiquette for going forward. So thank you for chiming in on that. And so these were a couple rules I've run into so far on my trip. When you think about rule quirks and rule issues, and you talked about this Daniel item, what is the weirdest rule quirk or rule issue you've ever run into? Like, is there one that you struggled with, or was a weird one that you still talk about to this day?
Well, the most difficult one that I've ever had was, the ones that when people come back from a dinner break or a break and they sit in the wrong seat and they start playing somebody else's stack. They sat in the wrong seat at the wrong table. It's obviously an error of the dealer. Perhaps they changed dealers during that time. So, you can't really blame them. The other players may not be paying attention, know who's sitting at their table or where this person came from. So what happens in that spot is you really have to just wing it. You have to try and make it as equitable as possible. If the player has lost chips to another player, you have to try and give the player that didn't that came back to their correct seat the right amount of chips. If the player had won chips, do you then take them away from that player's seat? And the answer is yes to that. So you have to try and make it as equitable as possible. But the fact that other people played in other hands with this player, it really can't affect them in a negative way, but it can affect that. It can affect them in a negative and a positive way, meaning that they could have won chips from this player or lost chips to this player, but we're not going to correct those stacks. The only stack we're really going to correct is the one of the player that sat in the wrong seat and played somebody else's chips. So, there's been situations where this has happened where you have to add chips to the tournament, which I really hate doing, or where I have to take chips from the other player's stack that's at another table and add them to that player's stack, right? So those are all situations where you have to use your best judgment on those things. So that is, to me, the most difficult decision you have to make, because it takes a lot of review and a lot of patience and a lot of honesty from not only the dealer, but the other players at the table to know what happened in that time that the player sat at the wrong seat.
So interesting. That sounds very challenging. I love that. I got a wing it answer there. I ran into so far two situations. It's so interesting, these sort of breaks where I lost chips on the break. The dealer was doing some sort of color up or something, and two times, sort of as tracking my chips before and after, I had to report to the floor, hey, I lost chips. One time they sort of added it without reviewing the cameras. Another, again, short stacked, pressure to cash. We checked the cameras, and I had been shortchanged like 2,000 in chips or something, which was extremely important. So. Wow. It's just interesting, these little things that obviously happen. We're all humans. It's part of the game.
Yeah, it happens. Not in my tournaments, but it happens at other tournaments.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate you weighing in on some of the rules things, telling us about WPT. Thank you so much.
You got it. Anytime.
Let's close with the profit and loss tracker. Next episode, Oklahoma. And if you could like, comment, subscribe, it really helps me be able to make more content for the channel.